Military veterans of Reddit, what is your craziest story from your time enlisted? Not one of mine, which are mostly drunken escapades in Korea, but a friend of mine's dad has an excellent one from Air Force BMT. He was posted up as the dorm guard one night, which in BMT is basically, watch out for the TI, Air Force drill sergeant, because he will come to mess with you. Well, at about 1 AM, the TI shows up to mess with him, banging loudly on the heavy one-way self-locking steel door to the dorm. Trainee friend's dad goes to the door and starts rolling through the mandatory spiel we have to go through to defend the door. Sir, do you have an ID card? Open up trainee. I got this fish. Sure as sugar, the TI is standing on the other side of the door holding a massive fish tank, filled with water, and one lonesome goldfish. Sir, I need to see your ID card. I can't get my ID card trainee, I got this fish. Sir, I can't let you in without seeing your ID card. I have to refer you down to RCQ. Basically the front desk for the dorms. Damn it son, I've got my ID, but I can't get it out, because I got this fish. Now let me in, and I'll get it out for you. Faced with this hopeless dilemma, and nearing his scheduled shift change, and wanting to get some sleep, trainee friend's dad does the only thing he can, and lets the TI in. Well, as soon as he does, the TI sets the fish tank down, and starts ripping into him. Why did you let me in without ID? This, and everyone in this dorm is dead now because of you. That, yada yada yada. And I don't know if this next part is true, but I really hope it is, because it gives hope to everybody about to go through BMT. The TI reached the end of his tirade, and inevitably asked, so what exactly were you thinking when you let me in here trainee? Well sir, I suppose it didn't really matter, because the lock on the door is broken right now anyways. What? The TI runs back outside and slams the door shut, only to find that the lock was working perfectly fine. Enraged, he screams back at my friend's dad. God damn it, let me back in there. Sir, do you have your ID card? Not my story, but one that my father tells me almost every week from his time in the Marines. He and a friend of his were aboard an aircraft carrier, having to clean the runway due to less than admirable behavior on deck, fighting the sailors. Well, the cart they were using to carry their cleaning supplies had a big handle on one side. They had finished their cleaning early in the morning, and instead of walking all the way back they had a splendidly fun idea. They each took off their button-up shirts, buttoned them together, and tied the sleeves to each side of the handle of the cart. Now, the wind that day was tremendous, not to mention I'm pretty sure the ship was moving. The shirts billowed tight in the wind and they both hopped onto the cart and they were off down the runway. As it turns out, the rest of the ship was on the deck for the flag ceremony, including the ship's officers. So there are all these people saluting a flag as two reprobates fly by on this man-made wind-powered go-kart, and all their heads turned slowly watching them fly down the runway. Yeah, he was in trouble a lot. I was deployed to Iraq in 2004. A few months into our tour my friend gets 2 weeks leave. He was assigned as the gunner on my LT's Humvee. A couple of hours before we go on mission the LT asks me if I'd like to fill in for my friend and be his gunner. I have a bad habit of running my mouth and I didn't think spending a lot of time with the LT was a good idea, so I declined saying, I would sir, but I hear your driver is so bad that he voids my life insurance policy and my folks would really need the money. He laughed and walked away. That mission his vehicle was hit by an IED and the blast killed the gunner, a SPC from HQC who volunteered for the mission. I have several, but I'll go with a story from the barracks, since that seems to be a common theme. I had just finished going through the training process for my MOs, and had returned to my battalion's barracks, before going to another school. That weekend a hurricane hit the coast of North Carolina, and as a result Camp Lejeune was shut down. No one was allowed on or off base, and Marines were told to stay indoors. Some of the things I saw. Several Marines getting their jump wings by parachuting from the 3rd floor with panchers. One Marine retrieving a bottom sample from the inside of a buffalo water tank. Another Marine wakeboarding along a retention pond while being towed by a truck driving along the edge. Subsequent to a warning that all Marines must wear flak and Kevlar when outdoors, one Marine strode around the barracks wearing nothing but said flak and Kevlar. All of this was happening in broad daylight at about 4 in the afternoon. After witnessing such shenanigans, I knew I was in the right place. Swiss Army in the 90s. We were camping somewhere in the Alps in November. First snow has just fallen. For some reason I never will understand, we had to have fully armed guards 24/7, even if we were not on a tactical training, but on a skill training, because everyone knows how dangerous the Swiss Alps are. At around 3 AM we hear shouting, then automatic gunfire. Next thing is a Rencio shouting medic, whom I was. I ran out and see a fairly large puddle of blood in the snow. Shocked, I'm looking for a patient, but couldn't find anyone. Later on I got told this is what happened. 2 conscripted soldiers are standing guard. One decides to take a wee. When he returns, the other soldier is standing guard, but naked only with his rifle and a knife. He cuts himself in the arm and then empties his whole magazine into the air and runs off into the snowy night. A huge search operation was commenced immediately, but we never found him, which does not mean a lot. I suspect that this was more a play before leaving for Austria. But one of the strangest things that happened in my time in the military. Had a new guy join the unit a week before we left for 6 months in Okinawa. Found out our new Marine was a virgin. A few guys pitched in money to get him laid in a house full of ladies. We got him liquored up, took him out to the place, and he got a woman. We were out in the waiting area, and he was taken to a room right next to where we were sitting. He starts going to town. The next thing we know, the lady of the night starts screaming, my eye, you blasted me in my eye. And she peels out of the room running down the hall with her hand over her eye yelling, it burns. It burns. Classic Okinawa. In 2008, I was a part of a security detail outside Salerno which included a hello medevac for a would-be SVBIED driver and another Taliban fighter. The driver had had his arm blown off by a MK-19 round and was, understandably, freaking out. I restrained him by putting one large zip tie around his waist and then zip tying his good arm to that zip tie. When we finally got on the hello, things started to calm down. But when we took off, his buddy freaked the F out, literally shat his pants, and jumped onto my LT's lap clutching the crap out of him. That commotion got the one-armed guy to start freaking out again. So now 2 Taliban are freaking out on board a flying helicopter. It took us forever to get the other guy off our LT and the first guy calmed down again. Our terp explained that the guy thought we were going to throw him out of the helicopter once we got high enough up in the air. Apparently they thought we did that. After all of that, the smell in that hello from the blood, medicine, and crap combined with the Afghan heat, doors closed, caused a chain reaction of puking, which just added to the mess. It took everything I had to hold myself together for that 30-minute helicopter ride. I felt so bad for whoever had to clean the hello that night. Any night in infantry, barracks is the craziest story. We once had a guy shoot a deer with a bow on base, not legal where he was at, and bring it back to the barracks. A lot of very drunk Marines proceeded to skin it in someone's shower and run around with different body parts and rubbing blood on our faces like some kind of drunken sacrifice. It was weird. I think it was a weeknight. Afghanistan was interesting too. Sort of military related. Reserve unit got called up and assigned to Berlin. My platoon was mostly kids fresh out of high school, just out of AIT, and not very worldly. If you didn't know, Germany and Berlin in particular is a little more free with their porn, strip clubs and other debauchery than the US. There were signs all over for a strip club called Sexyland which featured sex shows. When I heard my charges were going to visit the place, I felt it necessary to go to make sure they didn't get in trouble. So, we paid the 20 Deutschmarks to get in, and the younger guys all settled into their front row seating to wait for the show to start, while I sat back at the bar nursing my 8 Deutschmark beer. The lights went down, the curtains opened up, and what unfolded was hilarious. I have never seen or smelled fatter women upright on her feet than the 3 women that waddled out on stage. Those poor kids scrambled out of there, as if their lives depended on it. The bartender, laughing at the situation, smiled at me, said, "Wednesday is fat night, come back tomorrow." So, Thursday, repeat. Except Thursday was pet night. Bartender again laughing, told me, sorry, come back tomorrow. Weeknights are weird, Fridays and weekends are normal. Friday, excrement night. We never went back. I was part of the 2003 Iraq invasion. Nothing hardcore, just a commo puke. Anyways, I was sitting by the door in our ops tent when some white dust came in over the flap. It burned my eyes and tasted like bleach. So I called gas and went to mop one. Now remember, this was before we knew the chemical weapons was just a bunch of BS. The gas alarm spread far and wide and soon I think I had everyone in southern Iraq in gas masks. It's funny now, but at the time I was scared witless. We never figured out what it was. Good training. Hooah. One funny, one not so much. Stateside, we had a night delivery to our dock. Morning comes around and someone sees some odd metal and piping attached to a long stick or something just hanging out on the dock. Nobody knew what it was or where it came from. Someone panics, calls EOD, and our warehouse is evacuated and shut down for upwards of an hour. Turned out to be a muffler on a stick, left by some truck driver that didn't feel like overnighting in our parking lot. Deployed, heard news of an incoming sandstorm. Never having seen one, we didn't really know what to expect, so we sat around outside the living quarters smoking and waiting. Eventually, one by one, the building in the distance just disappeared as someone turned down the graphics settings on life. Everything just got swallowed in this odd orange haze. After that, for a few hours, all you could see were floating orange lights, the street lights, and everything inside was orange and covered in sand. Also the one where the trainee got chewed out for scaring another trainee with a made-up Wiccan ceremony in the shower room after hours. Trainee, I like you, but if you ever try to summon Satan in my shower room again I swear to God. Hooah. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, check out this playlist. Take care of each other in the comments and I'll see you all tomorrow.